Welcome to Sophia's Adventures, Ms. Zent. It's an honor to have you with us. How are you doing today?
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Tell me, what made you want to become an entrepreneur, and more specifically, join the legal industry?
Wow. Well, that's it's a long story, but to make it short, I've been an entrepreneur all my life since just about your age, and I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot through this entrepreneurship journey over many decades, and it's certainly not something for everyone, but it's definitely an interesting journey if you enjoy risk taking and exploring new frontiers, having some adventure in business if you like business. But I've really enjoyed my entrepreneurship journey and the legal industry. I joined the legal industry, of course, nearly 30 years ago, and it was my chosen career path. I've been able to navigate a lot of different kind of angles of the legal industry, from entrepreneur to legal operations to legal tech and legal tech pioneer and writer and speaker. So it's been a rich and full industry where there's a lot of different angles and aspects for everyone to contribute or learn and grow.
Wow. Ms. Zent, since the 1700s, law has been a male-dominated industry. How have you effectively navigated through gender bias and achieved success as a woman?
Wow, that's a great question and insightful. Well, it has been a male-dominated industry for a very long time and centuries. But, in the more recent years, we've seen women come up in the law, and women are now, I think, the percentages, I don't know the percentages off the top of my head, but women, I believe, are the majority now in the legal industry. Mm-hmm. There are so many different career paths for women. There always have been. And, I didn't feel a lot of challenge when I was coming up in the industry. I'm not going to say that there wasn't any instance of sexism. There certainly were instances, and I'm not going to say that we didn't feel the effect of gender bias. As those of us in my kind of class of lawyers coming up, 30 years ago, it was different than it is now. But it didn't let it hold me back. It didn't seem to hold me back. I certainly sought out and forged relationships with male colleagues and friends who became wonderful friends, colleagues, mentors, clients, you name it, coworkers. So I was able to really navigate the industry with really great people. And again, there are always going to be these stories in the legal industry and other industries for that matter that have been historically male dominated. But strong women, we can push through. You pursue your dreams and you don't let it hold you back. And I think that's sort of always been something in my mind, and it's never held me back.
Ms. Zent, tell us, reflecting on the early stages of your career, what piece of advice do you wish you had known?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, I counsel a lot of emerging professionals and entrepreneurs, and a consistent piece of advice I usually give, which I wish someone had told me at the time, but we didn't have these tools available to us back then, is around networking. Cultivating a network, building a network, and engaging with your network, relying on your network, and helping your network when they need help too. There are all kinds of contacts and connections we make through different parts of our career journey. And so it's really important to build and forge and retain those connections. And as I said, when I started, I'm somewhat dating myself, but we didn't have the tools available to us. We didn't have the internet and mobile phones and social networking. I wish we did. But, of course, now we do. And so that makes building a network and cultivating a network much easier, but also almost a no-brainer. And so I would say definitely never burn a bridge, always build a network, see how you can help people in your network, and that always comes back to you too.
Ms. Zent, what opportunities do you see for young professionals coming into the legal industry right now?
Wow, great question. Well, there's a lot of opportunity, in fact, probably more than ever before. Aside from the traditional opportunities, whether it's practicing law in a conventional setting, of course, we have ALSPs, alternative legal services providers, or legal services providers such as ZentLaw, which I founded over 20 years ago. So we have organizations such as that. We also have, of course, in-house practice. In-house is when you work for a large corporate organization or a startup organization, and you are their in-house lawyer. So in-house practice, also legal operations, which sort of has to do with the efficiency around the delivery of legal services. There's, of course, pursuits around academia, whether it's teaching or writing or speaking. That's something that a lot of us do. And then there's also a lot of opportunities in legal tech. I was one of the early kind of female legal tech founders. Now we have a lot more female legal tech founders. And of course, it goes without saying, but AI is super hot right now. And we know that the AI kind of revolution is going to impact a lot of industries, including the legal industry. So there's a lot of opportunity there too. So tremendous opportunities for emerging professionals right now coming into the law, and I'm sure there'll be more.
Ms. Zent, tell me, what were some of your biggest challenges in your career?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, challenges are part of any career, right? I mean, that's part of life's journey. It's part of your career journey. And learning and growing is something that we do throughout our lives. And I'm a huge advocate for learning with every experience. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our experiences. And I don't know. I mean, big challenges. I would say one of the bigger challenges would have been when I started ZentLaw over 20 years ago. At the time, the legal industry was very conventional. The idea of offering subscription legal services and services of attorneys and other legal professionals in an on-demand setting sort of was revolutionary at the time. It really wasn't being done. There was a very traditional kind of delivery of services model. So when I came out with ZentLaw, it was at the time not really well known. People didn't know how to classify us, and it was really hard to educate the market, educate the client base, and also begin to break in and build a client base. And so that was a hard time because it just took a lot of work to educate the market. Now, fast forward 20 plus years later, people know what an alternative legal services provider is, or now we don't even need to call it alternative. We really can call it a legal services provider, which is what we call ourselves. But when you're kind of a pioneer, it's exciting and interesting to be a pioneer in an industry, but it's also incredibly challenging. And so I would say that would be one of the bigger challenges I faced.
Ms. Zent, sounds like you're one of the early pioneers of the legal industry.
Wow, thank you. Well, I guess I am. I mean, at the time, there really weren't very many of us doing sort of some of these unique alternative service delivery models. As far as legal tech, it was very nascent when I started. And so I was one of the earliest female founders of a legal tech company, and I've founded several, as well as patented inventions. And not a lot of lawyers at the time, especially women, were doing that. Some of my inventions have artificial intelligence in them too. So there are a number of kind of interesting stories I have, but yeah, it's been fun and interesting to be a pioneer in the legal industry, but it's also been tough. But yeah, I guess looking back, there are some pioneering moments.
So, Ms. Zent, I'm kind of a sneakerhead, so I need to ask my guests this question all the time. What is your sneaker game like? What sneakers are you into? What sneakers are you wearing?
Well, I don't think I've ever been asked that question before. I wouldn't say I'm much of a sneakerhead, although I do love my running shoes and I don't get out as often as I'd like to. But as far as fun sneakers to wear, I mean, I don't know. Today I'm wearing Nike Cortez. I like the black and white. It works with my outfit, so that's what I'm wearing. And yeah, I mean, I guess they're what's old is new again. So
No, yeah, they're so vintage.
yeah,
Awesome.
thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Ms. Zent.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really impressed with what you're doing, interviewing people in business, and learning more as you go with each interview.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.